Ladies and gentlemen and in-betweeners, tonight it's Boys Night on the Rocks with Will and Grace's Brian Jordan Alvarez, soap opera hunk turned filmmaker Jason Cooke, 3D Theatricals artistic director and Shrek, TJ Dawson is here with cover and runway model Stephen Dehler and me, your favorite host with the deepest voice. So raise a glass and let the drinks begin.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, coming at you live, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Like this normally.
Oh, Lord, help us.
No.
Oh, hello, they're having their own talk show. We just started.
Are you so?
Oh, my God.
You're
We're getting deep and personal already. We just started Buns and Bows and Patios. This is On the Rocks Radio Show, the place where we're too glam to give a damn. I am proud to announce that I am listed on Forbes magazine 40 under 40 of those with the top outstanding bar tabs. Speaking of bar tabs, thank you to our sober listeners for tuning in. We love you. Thank you for driving us home, holding our hair back, and other things. Speaking of drinking, the official vodka of On the Rocks is Equality Vodka. 20% from every bottle helps fund nonprofits that work to secure equality for everyone. Visit them at Equality Vodka on the web, Instagram, and Facebook, and Twitter. Hello to our listeners around the nation on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Acast. Now, I'm happy to announce that we are on Roku. Of course, right now we are on Facebook Live, on Trending Now in San Diego, True FM in Ohio, hello Ohio, and on the West Coast on GED Magazine, and nationally on I Love LGBT, a national network of LGBT news outlets and marketing. Give them a like on their social medias. This show is also brought to you in media partnership with Here TV. Oh, we talked about you today, by the way, with Here TV.
Oh, great.
They're looking at your stuff. On the Rocks now appears on Facebook. Watch HereTV.com and Here TV app for free. Whoop, whoop. Mama Rose in the chat room on Facebook Live for On the Rocks. Ask her your questions. She'll answer it. If it's a burning question, she will text me. Don't think I'm being rude or checking my grinder. I'm actually checking messages. Hello to our engineer, Kurt. Hello, Kurt. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Very good. I see you wore a button up today. It's a very special occasion.
Well, I figured I might as well.
Yes. Oh, and what is on your button up? Every week it's something new.
It's Game of Thrones, actually.
Yeah. Show's so bad they had to cancel. Yes. So bad. Kurt, do you have a pun for us? You're so punny.
Of course, I always have a pun.
All right. Now we have some writers in the room, so be very, very diligent.
Are you saying they might steal it? Is what you're saying?
Oh yes, I'm so sure.
Consider it so.
Yeah. The next YouTube skit by Brian here is going to be all about it. Okay, go ahead, Kurt.
Did I tell you I was addicted to the hokey pokey?
But you couldn't get yourself around, or
No,
what?
but I turned myself around.
Oh, nice.
No.
Wow. That's not such a. That's more just a full-out joke.
No, that's actually
my
awful.
thing.
It's a great joke.
It's never a good
But it's not a pun. You guys called it a pun, right?
Yeah.
But it's a pun, yeah.
It's a play on words, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to be specific,
Feels like a
it's not
solid
really.
joke to me.
Yeah, like a bad one, like a dad joke.
Yeah,
Great
maybe
dad
more
joke.
dad joke. Yeah.
Really good.
Kurt, why doesn't the oyster give to charity?
I don't know why.
Because it's very shellfish. That's a dad joke. Yeah. Oh, thanks for that applause. All right. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks on Air, Facebook On the Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email, book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. I need you to start liking or clicking subscribe on YouTube, your podcast player, etc. Like, follow us. Keep the show going for free. Everything is updated on our website on ontherocksradioshow.com. Beautifully redone, by the way. Want to visit me on the road? My Vaikaya On the Rocks will be on the seas for our debut cruise with the newest LGBT and LGBT ally cruise, Vaikaya, with their debut P-Town to Canada cruise from August 11th to 18th. You guys, I leave in like
That's
a week
cool.
and a
I want
half.
to go on that.
I know.
They would
How
love
many guests
for you.
can you bring?
5,000. No, they're about like 75% sold out. Here's who's on the ship, because we are doing the radio show on the ship as a morning show, which I'm very scared about.
Wow.
The divas on the ship, Tony Award winner Kristen Chenoweth.
It's not going to sleep.
Well, and they have me emceeing some of the evening stuff and some of the film festival stuff, and then the ship to shore. You guys, I don't know if I'm going to come back. Anyway, Tony Award winner Kristen Chenoweth, American Idol's Catherine McPhee, Glee's Alex Newell, Funny Man Leslie Jordan, and Miss Lady Bunny. It's going to be
Are we on the show?
That's
And I thought that was Julianne Moore in one of the pictures.
Well,
It does look a
yeah.
little bit.
That'd be really cool to just have like an Oscar-winning, like dramatic performance.
Can you imagine? Like, she'd just be like running around with her Oscar. She'd be like, can I have a drink?
Did she win an Oscar? Has she won? She should.
I think.
I don't know. Yeah. I think so.
Or is she like the Susan Lucci?
I feel like
she's
it's something that rolls off
nominated?
the tongue, right? Oscar winner, Julianne.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't remember seeing Oscar-winning Julianne
Maybe
Moore,
for
though.
Still Alice. No.
Far from Heaven.
She's nominated.
Yeah.
So she'll just be in the corner
Let's see,
crying.
I
that
can
she's
look it
not-
up.
I think
Yeah.
she did win for the Alice movie, I thought.
Oh yeah, remember that was
so.
such a great
Still
film.
Alice.
And you guys,
The
well, I'm
Alice
sure you guys
movie.
have met her, but she's like 4 foot tall. Everybody that you
Moore?
meet is like 4
Everyone
foot.
is,
Like
yeah.
she's so tiny. She's gorgeous. Anyway, so go to myvikaya.com to book your tickets. Use the code word Brox at checkout. I know it's very close, but come do it. And I'm doing a special segment on ship called "What Happened Last Night," and I'll be taking pictures and some footage. They have a camera crew that's following me around, and I'm very, very excited. I'm also very scared. Also, Friday, August 23rd, I'm your MC for Downtown LA Proud Out, Downtown LA's 4th annual Pride Festival. Go to dtlaproud.org for more information. Also, Laundry Day, Friday, September 20th, I'm your MC in Long Beach at Executive Suites Nightclub for Overboard's LBC Laundry Day, SoCal's final Pride hurrah. Celebrity guest and me, go to overboardlbc.com for more info. Let me formally introduce my guest co-host, my twin from another win, Stephen Dehler. A regular part of our On the Rocks family and our resident pop culture correspondent, is a cover and runway model, having appeared in magazines all over the world for many product and fashion campaigns. He has been featured on the cover of the international men's magazine DNA. Check it out. And he's actually smiling on the cover, right there.
It's like one of the 2 photos I have.
I know, I've never
He's
seen him smile.
smiling.
And is one of the main faces and bodies for Marco Fashion Design, and is a favorite on Marco's runway, has been seen in RuPaul's Drag Race, Now Apocalypse, and of course Will and Grace. Please welcome Stephen Dehler.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Stephen Dehler.
Thanks.
Okay, so you get weird messages all the time from your fans, but this last week you posted, this woman for years has been sending you a message with this...
And it's not even. It's probably not even a woman because I
well,
know.
the picture looks a little fake.
Yeah, well, and it's been from a lot of different social media outlets and a lot of other gay guys I know that get this message.
But her question is, are you ticklish?
Yeah.
It's like a preamble with this, like, I love your work.
Did you
I'm
see the
such a
movie
fan.
Tickled about that whole community?
I've heard about.
What's
I
this
saw it in that
one?
new show. What's it called? Bonding on Netflix, where she's a dominatrix.
Yeah.
She does like a tickling thing.
That's supposed to be great.
Sorry.
Oh.
Feeling a little slosh today.
Yeah, they get a little ticklish. Now, like, bondage people make so much money. I knew a dominatrix that charged $5,000 for a couple of hours of service.
They just
I'm
had,
in the
they just had an
wrong
article with
business.
this woman that people pay $150 an hour to clean her home. To
What?
clean
Wow.
her.
Wait, how do I sign up for that?
Yeah, that's part of dominatrix. That's the part of the whole that lifestyle. You're dominating that person.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's common for people to come over to the dominatrix home and like clean their home
yeah,
all
to be
day
a
long
sub,
and
yeah.
while
What?
being bossed around and
That's so weird to me.
yeah.
I would be a dominatrix. I just couldn't wear the outfits.
Isn't it usually like men that
anything.
are in like really powerful positions too, and that's why
That they want to be dominated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
From what I hear.
Are you having issues
Yes,
over here?
look at
Kurt,
this.
Your mic is falling.
We have
I
a
keep trying to
drippy
tighten. I
mic.
keep trying to tighten it, but it's just so loose.
Oh, God. There we go. It's a family show.
For whose family?
Like, your muscles are bigger than my head. Like, you can't tighten that.
This,
I think it's this.
this
I think
involves
it's this.
finger dexterity.
Yeah,
it's very
this.
different.
Steven, isn't it this that you need
Is
to
it?
tighten?
Oh, I was doing this. Oh, it's the top part. Here it is. The top part.
the
There-
top.
No, it's still kind of whatever. I think it's okay
Okay.
now. I think it's all right now.
All right.
Okay, just figure it out.
Anyway, but that's just. But you get weird messages all the time. What's the weirdest message from one of your
Oh
fans?
God! I just got one the other day that I was showing my friends because it was really. I mean, I can't even go into detail because it's
please don't.
insanely graphic. But it went for like a 12-hour period of just like this. I sent it to my friends in a video format because I'm not going to send that many screenshots because I just have to do like a screen grab of like scrolling down.
Oh my
and
God.
then clicking
Right.
like the foggy photos to see the unfoggy versions of them.
Oh.
And it was intense. It was
Why
just
don't
like
you
things
block
like things.
them after
It's like a
while?
slideshow.
Well, I don't respond to any of them. It's just these are messages that are in like your unread, like the ones that
Yeah,
go
yeah,
into
requests,
the request
for sure,
folder. So I just go and
yeah.
like I'll check it every once in a while. I look at the request folder. They don't know that I've seen it because
Right.
unless you accept it, they can't see that you've read it. And I'm looking at it and just I mean, it's just telling you very detailed things of what they want you to do.
Whoa.
And it's
Who has time to type all that?
I have to show this to you after the show. You're going to be very.
But
stunned.
it's pictures and work. It's like he's he's doing like a storybook.
Yeah, like, and what's like going into super like, are you writing a novel, like an actual novel here? You're going into very
might be.
detailed like
Yeah.
scenarios of what
then
is
a picture.
happening, and like, the adjectives are very colorful.
Okay, but in their defense, Steven does a lot of like stock modeling work, and then his body ends up on covers of romance novels of all kinds.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Gay, straight. There was one with like a horse. It was
Okay,
very
there's
odd.
not been one horse yet. Shut up. He says it every time.
It was like, she fell in love with a horse with a personality. And he said, nay.
She's been trying. How long have you been waiting for that one?
No, it just came to me. That was so good.
Bet it did just come to you.
Okay. Anyway, well, we're going to talk about all your weird fan requests, because coming from the soap opera world, I'm sure you have many weird fan... My mom used to be a soap opera person that would go and like stalk the soap opera stars.
Yeah, you get turned into that pretty quickly. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so it's like, what's the strangest thing a fan has said?
I mean, there's just a lot of really inappropriate things that probably aren't good to be sharing on air, but like sharing articles of clothing that you typically don't wear
Okay.
out in public, just like, can I get that when you're done?
Oh,
with it?
right. Yeah.
Oh, like buying your underwear
And
and
they
stuff.
often want to pay for it.
Yeah. I mean,
You're like, sometimes
I mean, even if you give that money to charity, is that dirty? Yeah, you don't
See,
do that.
well, I don't know. It's for the children.
Yeah.
All right, let me formally introduce our panel. Let's get going. TJ Dawson, artistic director and executive producer at 3D Theatricals. In a short time, 3D Theatricals has been among the most awarded and critically acclaimed theaters in Southern California, including many Ovation nominations and wins, as well as the very prestigious Joel Hershen Outstanding Achievement in Musical Theater by the LA Drama Critics Circle. Company received the most Ovation nominations by any theater for the 2012-2013 season, next to the Center Theater Group. As a director, TJ has received an Ovation nomination as well as an LA Drama Critics Circle nomination for the critically acclaimed production of Parade that won 4 Ovation awards, by the way. Also for his production of Ragtime. He's also directed, get ready, The Drowsy Chaperone, All Shook Up, The Sound of Music, A Chorus Line, Avenue Q, Ovation nomination, 9 to 5, Into the Woods, A Sideshow, The Addams Family, Beauty and the Beast, The Full Monty in Oklahoma. This
God.
You
August,
do have my bio. Wow.
I got it all. This August, he
He's more thorough
returns-
than Wikipedia, that's for sure.
Some people actually are afraid to come on the show because I'll look up your high school yearbook.
Oh shoot. Not pictured. Thank God. No.
He'll find like your third grade play.
Wow. My best work, honestly.
This
Yeah,
August, TJ returns to the stage after years of absence to reprise his role of Shrek for the final show of 3D Theatrical's 10th anniversary season, featuring elements of the original Broadway production, by the way. He's part of a very modern-day Von Trapp family. TJ works along his wife, siblings, and now children in the theater world. Please welcome TJ Dawson!
Yeah.
Also joining us today, very excited, Brian Jordan Alvarez, born to a Colombian mother and an American father in New York City. I can't even imagine what your holidays were like. His family moved to the sticks of Tennessee when he was 4. He was raised in this rural environment, but he often visited extended family in Colombia and Spain. He left home at 17 to do his high school senior year at North Carolina School of the Arts. From there, he went to USC, where he received his BFA in acting, and he has lived in Los Angeles since. He's been making films since childhood, as well as acting for as long as he can remember. His hit series, The Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo, which I binge-watched last night, has amassed an international fandom, and I mean international. We're talking the views, and I love that every episode the views just go up and up. He is currently a regular on NBC's paradigm-changing classic Will and Grace, now filming its final season, by the way, and Brian recurs on Epic's Get Shorty and Netflix's hit comedy special, also a master behind the camera. His latest projects are all over YouTube, and his film, Everything is Free, that he wrote, directed, starred in, and even did the music, is now available to stream on Amazon Prime. Welcome the man with so much talent. He has 3 names, Brian Jordan Alvarez.
Yes.
And last but certainly not least, Jason Cooke was born in New Jersey. When he was very young, his family moved to California. He did not consider acting until high school, where he served as an emergency replacement in Whodunit. Manager happened to be in the audience that night, later asked Jason if he had professional aspirations to be an actor. Shortly after high school, Jason was cast as Sean Douglas Brady on the soap opera Days of Our Lives, son to a very popular couple. He himself became a very popular couple, very popular with fans, especially his relationship with Belle Black. In 2006, he departed Days, turned his attention to writing and directing films, but came back to daytime TV to many women and some men's happiness on General Hospital as his new character, Matt Hunter, continued his love of directing, producing, and writing. And since leaving General Hospital, he's involved with movies and documentaries. He's the director of The Creatress, also starring Fran Drescher and Peter Bogdanovich. Now, could have been more thorough. Your people have done to your soap opera clips with like music. Some of it's cute, but then some of it is like
creepy.
Are they gonna kill you? Like, what is happening? But I wanted to start with a question for you, because all three of you have directed, whether it's stage, screen. What have you learned from the very first project you directed up until now? Like, what's the biggest thing you're like, oh, I learned that way at the beginning, or the biggest way that you've grown as a director?
Oh,
Good question.
That's a good question.
I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of perspective. You know,
Right.
I mean, like, that's the biggest thing, is like you just gain perspective instantly. I mean, I remember when I cast my first thing, and just the idea of like hiring a casting director and interviewing people. Like, I'd never interviewed people to hire before. Like, you just start a project. I'm sure you guys have done the same thing. You just, if you're gonna do a project, you just get your friends to help you out.
Right.
Whatever, like, hey, you wanna run the camera? Hey, you wanna run audio? Whatever. Like, that's the interview process. But then, like, when you do it for the first time and starting as an actor, you get a casting director, you hire that person, then all of a sudden you're sitting on the other side of the table and you're like, oh, that's how I've been screwing up my auditions for all these years.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
That's a unique perspective.
Yeah, sitting on the other side of the table, I think watching people audition definitely was just a huge like eye-opening experience for me. But I think, like you said, the just every year that goes by, more like life that happens has allowed me, I think, to let other people do what they do best and not be so. I definitely have. I'm definitely a control freak, but I allow people, I think, more freedom to make it more of a team effort, and I feel like the end product is a lot more rewarding and by just kind of letting people do what they do best. So
Yeah. I feel like it's made me a better actor because I I have something in my throat. I think I had dairy. Vodka
will clear that right up.
Yeah, that'll clear that right up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the artificial sweetener.
I haven't had a cold in 10 years.
Oh yeah, that just kicks it right out. I think it's made me a better actor because you, when you're making something, you see all the pieces, how they all get put together. So then, when you're just acting, you know how to offer that piece better. You know. Yeah.
When you have appreciation for somebody that when you're on set you might think, oh, okay, well, that just gets done, but like, how does it get done? Now you have an appreciation. Nia Vardalos was here last month, and I asked her the same question, and she said she wished from the very first project, she was so thankful to be a director that she just, if somebody wasn't clicking, she was so afraid to assert herself as the director. And she said that was the biggest thing that she learned. She's like, no, if somebody's not working for your project that your name is on, you get rid of them.
Yeah.
There's no sitting there holding hands. If it's not working, it's not working. You're on this.
Yeah.
And she says, as a woman director and as a first-time director, she just
Sure,
didn't
that
have
has
that
to be
confidence.
a totally different thing. I know, because you guys we're probably all around-ish, maybe the same age. I might be the oldest, but getting being a younger director, I know that I felt like I had to come in so, it was such a crazy game plan, and that's why I felt like I was a little bit more of a control freak, because anyone that was older than me, to get them to respect me, to guide them through the process, I feel like now that's not even kind of an issue, because I have a much better sense of self and my own confidence and whatnot. But earlier on, that was a struggle for me.
Yeah. Getting people to.
I got my college degree in theater directing, so my first play, I was going to prove a point because I was young, and I was like, boom, boom. I was like a dictator on the set. It was the worst thing that I could have done.
Yeah.
I was like, first rehearsal, you're off book, and blah, 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 just to be the sound director.
That doesn't sound like you.
Oh, hush up. I lost half the cast in like 2 weeks of rehearsal.
I think Aaron Sorkin's the only one who can pull that off.
Right? I learned real fast. But Jason, you had to direct Peter Bogdanovich, and we know for our listeners who are not familiar with him, he directed The Last Picture Show, What's Up Doc with Barbra Streisand, Paper Moon, Mask, among others. Cat's Meow was one of my favorite films that he did, though. Did you have stage fright directing a director? Especially Peter Bogdanovich. I mean, he's not like. He's pretty heavy.
That was a really huge deal to get him. I was really honored. I was really humbled. There was often I wasn't too didn't have stage fright. I was actually just like really excited about it, to be honest. There were plenty of other things to be worrying about during our production. It was a very small production. There was a day where we were shooting at the Beverly Hills Hilton, and we couldn't load in for 3 hours because the former president was leaving the hotel, and so Secret Service had everything on lockdown, and that's just not the sort of thing that you can schedule or plan for. And that was our biggest day. We were doing this huge wedding sequence on the rooftop and stuff, and so everybody was like super late to set. Like we only could shoot for half the day, and I was a little sketched out about it. But having him there, I actually went over to him and I said, "What would you do in this situation?"
Oh, that's
Nice.
a good move.
And,
That's a really good move.
and he had a lot of kind words and a lot of insight. It wasn't like he was like, "Oh, just stick with it, kid. You'll be fine." But he actually
said some real things.
Yeah, he really did, and he was really generous with his stories. I mean, he's got so many stories, and he knows so many people. It was like just really weird to have somebody talk about Marlon, and it's just like, wait,
with the
Marlon,
first name.
right? You knew him, and he had a lot of stories about Tom Petty. I mean, it's just one of the best rock documentaries of all time. I mean, it was really incredible. There, if anything, there just wasn't enough time to pick his brain, because we cast him pretty close to when we were shooting, and we got to talk a couple times, but I mean, I could have sat with that man for hours. I mean, What's Up, Doc? Even when I was a child,
that is still one of my favorite
just
films. I watched it when I was a kid.
It was like a cartoon, but in real life. It was so. Even the trailers for that movie were funny.
Films I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and it's just like, how'd you do it? How'd you, but he was very casual about it. I think, if anything, like having him around was a really calming force. I was grateful. I was grateful.
Well, that's good. And What's Up, Dog was Madeline Kahn's first film, and she had so much nerves about doing it because she felt like a fish out of water, and she became one of the funniest actresses ever.
So
Right.
good.
Yeah.
I still watch that movie over and over. I love it.
Well, I asked him, I was like, so why'd you end up in the trailer? And he was like, well, I was just trying to show Ryan what to do. Ryan O'Neal is in that movie, and I was just trying to show him what to do, but then we liked what I did better than what he did, so we just kept myself in the trailer. I mean, he was kind of a star at that time too, so he was kind of like doing the dual, actor director thing in the 70s. So
That's awesome.
Well, working together, Brian, you work with such a great core group of friends, like all of your YouTube videos. And number one, I got this email in so many different ways. It's like, ask him why he puts everything on YouTube for free, because it's such great content.
Oh, that's so nice.
And so people are specifically commenting, everything is free, which ironically is the movie
Is
that
the
you
only
pay
thing that I
for.
charge for, yeah.
Yeah, and they're saying, just buy it, even if you've watched one of your YouTube videos even once. Your library is so great and it's so varied, but you work with like a Waiting for Guffman kind of group of actors that we see pop up. We have this conversation on and talking about competition, and the difference is we should be supporting people in our field rather than trying to tear each other down or take parts away or something like that. Because we're all thinking that we're all in this
it's like
mad race.
community rather than competition. It should have that feeling to it.
But you guys seem to have a great handle on that. Everybody gets their spotlight in your videos, and it's great chemistry.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. I mean, you can't really make. I guess you could make a feature film where you're the only person in it, but I don't know. I just have all these. I think. I have a lot of friends who are good actors, and I just kind of see them, and then I want to put them in something, and then we just make stuff, and it's because they're making me laugh in real life. So then I'm like, well, let's just do that.
You can tell
our last movie was all improvised. This thing, web series, the movie that we just made, which everybody should watch.
Yes,
at
it's on YouTube.
YouTube.com/Brian Tornillos. About a bunch of idiots making a web series.
But it is this great energy, and as the main character, you could say, well, I want all the funny bits for me, or I want all the special moments, and I just laughed and
I hear
laughed.
what you're getting at.
And coming to Mainstream Network, I came across your stuff because of Will and Grace, of
great.
course, and of course, instantly you go like, who dat?
That's so nice.
So all of a sudden, you're put on a bigger map, And then when we research you and we see you've done what every good little actor in LA should do, web series, independent films, skit videos, SNL, audition tape, even stand-up comedy.
Sure.
Like, you have done that journey. This hasn't been some overnight, I'm
right.
Jack's husband on Will and Grace.
What
now,
is that?
now I'm famous.
Naomi Watts calls herself a 20 years in the business overnight success. Have you heard that expression? Yeah.
So tell me about that journey, how you kept like going. It's like, okay, let's do this project now. Let's do this.
Well, now I'm going to quote another movie star other than Naomi Watts, but Tom Hanks. Somebody asked him. I heard this from somebody who heard this from somebody, so I don't know how real this is, but I heard that somebody asked Tom Hanks about kind of that period when he was just in all those. He was just in all the movies for a while, you know. And he said something like, "It's like when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're so thirsty and you just can't stop drinking water." And it starting around 25 or 26, it was like that for me. I was just like, we gotta go. Like, I gotta make this happen, you know, because I don't come from an entertainment family or anything. I just kind of got here, and I went to college at USC, and I knew I was good there. But then there was some lag time after college where I didn't really know how to break in, and then I just. You just kind of have to focus and move as fast as you can, and it worked, and I'm so grateful, you know, because you have to get yourself in the door. But once you're in, it becomes much easier, you know, and I'm grateful for that now. Because then you have a resume. It's just like restaurant jobs, you know. It's like you can get another restaurant job if you've worked at 10 restaurants, but if you've never worked at a restaurant, they're not going to let you work there, you know.
And a lot of people come to, especially the younger generation, the Instagram stars of Hollywood, if you will. They come to town and they're like, I'm going to give it my all for 6 months. And then 6 months and they have it.
Or when people just come for pilot season.
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you got to knock on doors. You have to network.
You have to build a relationship with the people.
You have to drive Uber, bitch. Like, that's what you have to do.
Oh, no, the amount of actors drive Ubers. It's funny.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of guy. And so leaving high school for your final year to a whole different city.
Yeah, I went to like
17.
a boarding school. Yeah, to a boarding school called North Carolina School of the Arts, which is really cool. It was cool. It was like a whole senior, and we did like improv the whole year. And now I perform sometimes on the main stage at the Groundling, so it's kind of paid off.
That's cool.
But that takes some balls to be like, okay, I'm giving up my hometown, my family. And
I was so ready. I mean, come on, yeah. I was living in
"See ya."
Tennessee, and I wanted to be a movie star. It was like, you got to get out.
So you knew, like, right from the beginning, like, that's what you wanted.
Yeah. I came here to be on film and TV, you know. Yeah. I'm so grateful that it's happened.
Well, something else taking some balls, so to speak. TJ, you know, I read an interview where you did, and you know, you have a very specific type, and you were very candid. You know, you were like, I was too old, too young. I didn't fit this type. There was nothing out there. You're like, well, let me just start a theater company. Who the hell starts a theater company in Southern California and expects it to grow to 3D theatricals?
It was kind of crazy because it was right when the economy. It was in 2009, so it was like right after the economy was like, see you later. And
that's what people do with theater, is the first thing to go, because
the arts. And I just felt really passionate about it, because like, in short, I was the callback king. I was up for, actually, you said Tom Hanks. I was down to like final couple people for a movie with him, and movie with Billy Bob Thornton, and I just had all these really close calls, but I was either too tall, not tall enough, too old, not old enough, too fat, not fat enough, whatever it was. I just wasn't enough. And so I was like, well, how do I, and I had a emphasis in directing in college, so I was like, I want to kind of go into that. And I started 3D theatricals, and it kind of exploded really quickly, which was exciting and crazy. And it's been a really cool ride so far.
Well, and I love theater. That's my background, especially musical theater. Theater in Southern California gets a bad rap, and sometimes it should. It's so over the map. You never know. When a friend invites you to a play, you're like, oh crap, right? And you're like, oh. And sometimes you're surprised, and sometimes, but you guys have really made a professional experience. I was there for opening night of Secret Garden, which is a very difficult musical to mount. Number one, you get a lot of the set pieces from the Broadway productions. The quality, the orchestra, everything was really top notch.
Thank you.
Stephen can tell you I do not blow smoke, because I mean, if I go see your play and it sucks, I'll be like,
So what happened there?
She's already out of it before the show's over.
Like, literally. Well, I'm out of it in a few different ways, but
that's before the show.
That's an internet message like, bring a bottle.
Equality.
What have been some of the biggest obstacles in starting a regional theater company?
Well, currently there were so many that were closing around that time, and so currently our friendly competitors, because I really do try to create more of a sense of community than competition with everyone in our area. We have Musical Theater West in Long Beach and McCoy Rigby in La Mirada, and that is one is a 65-year-old company, the other one's almost like a 40-year-old company, one with a celebrity, Kathy Rigby, the amazing Kathy Rigby, attached to it. So being in the conversation with two long-standing, iconic, theaters to Southern California, that was a lot to take on. And so I just really wanted to make sure that we did our own thing and created kind of our own branding. And I think the fortunate thing was that those institutions that have been around for so long, they're kind of more set in their ways. And so we ended up being ahead of the curve on a lot of things, also having a really diverse team. We have people all over the with ethnicities and gender identities and ages and everything on our team. So we were ahead on the social media thing and on our video content and all of that. So we've actually seen a lot of these other companies follow us in a lot of those ways, which has been really exciting to be a part of that, setting the standard in some way, So yeah, it's been really, really cool.
And I love that there's that sentiment, because I think if you're improving audience attendance at theater, then they're going to go see some of these other shows at the other theaters. And the theaters that you mentioned are great theaters.
Yep.
And they do what they do very well, but you're right, they're very, you know what to expect.
Right.
So it could be a little bit more traditional, and if you want that, then that's
go there.
And it's top quality.
Yep.
I love seeing so many young people in the audience of Secret Garden, and of course Shrek is gonna bring them back. Kurt, can you play the video of TJ's makeup process?
Oh man.
So go ahead and just talk over this a bit. You're coming back to this role after 6 years.
Yeah, that was also 130 pounds ago, everybody. But yeah, it takes 3 hours to get in this thing. It's a really intense process, so I'm there before everybody else. And then it takes an hour to get out of it. And so that's outside of showtime, obviously. And it is a lot. I'm also claustrophobic, so I have to really mentally prepare
think
myself.
about it.
Yeah, to get into it. But the makeup is so transformative. It's kind of insane because you really do, you can do all the rehearsing and character. And what's kind of brilliant about this show in particular, I think, is that it's incredibly topical right now, which is so weird because you don't think, oh, it's Shrek and oh, it's like, a fairy tale or whatever. But fairy tales are often more for adults than they are for kids. And the kids are going to have a great time, but it's actually really going to speak to the adults, hopefully on a lot of different levels. It's about self-acceptance and self-love and loving others for their differences. And, they talk everything about building a wall on down. They literally talk about everything within this show. And it's really beautiful. It will grab your heart at the end unexpectedly. I think even more than any other family show that I've seen of the like these days. But yeah, it's a pretty crazy process. And then by the end, they have it's a team of 3 people that takes to make it happen. And it's pretty crazy. And then
How long does that take?
3 hours. Yeah.
Now, as a singer, I would always want to know this, because when I would do musical theater, your warm-up process for your voice is its own preparation.
Yep.
How are you able to warm up? How do you know that your voice is going to sit well under that?
So that's what's crazy. Actually, I was very fortunate because our director was in the original Broadway company, and he connected me with Brian Darcy James, who originated the role, and he gave me some great tips on just hydration, because the costume weighs like 50 pounds, and then on top of that, you're filling it up with your own awesomeness the whole time. So it just gets heavier. It just gets heavier. Yeah, it gets real juicy.
I feel bad for your dresser. Can you imagine after the show?
How long does it take to get out of that stuff?
An hour.
An hour, yeah.
But oh God, they are saints. I feel so bad because one time my undergarment during the show went around my knees, and I can't do anything by myself. And I was like, I'm so sorry, but you gotta. And they were like, okay. And they reached in and they had to yank everything up. But it's
They're like, oh, Shrek is Jewish. I had no idea.
but no, it's
Shalom.
it's pretty intense. But yeah, it's sorry. What was the original question?
Your vocal.
Thank you. So yeah, I have an intense hydration process, and I don't get a lot of time to vocally warm up actually, because of the fact that I go almost right up to curtain. I have a few minutes to kind of test it out, and I just really have to play a lot of mind games with myself. That's really what it is, because I have to just trust it's going to be there. And luckily with his show, he sings like the opening number, and that's honestly like once that's over, it's kind of like okay, use a lot of the show to kind of warm up, because my harder stuff is towards the end of the show, and it's so much talking. I try not to over warm up or I lose it. So
now, how are you approaching the character differently 6 years after the fact?
Well, I have 3 kids now, and that changes. I'm doing this actually for them because when Cerritos asked us to do it, I was like, oh yeah, we can produce it. And I wasn't thinking about doing it again. And they were like, what? And I get to be a superhero to them for, I'm Dada Ogre to them, so it's like really cool. And my 7-year-old went to me, he's like, so I'm going to be turning 7, and, young Shrek is turning 7, and that'd be really special to do that with you. I was like, are you 40? Did you say that'd be really special to do that with you? And so I was like, okay. So then he got kind of roped into it. And anyway, it's approaching the role years later. It's pretty emotional because when I went into the part, I thought, oh, it's just finally like a leading character that's for a character man, because I don't have the problems that you all have with all of the stalkers chasing after me. So I'm thankful for that.
You should see what kind of stalkers I get. No offense to my stalkers, please tune in.
Keep stalking me.
Yeah, I get a very certain type that I won't go into.
I love it, but I definitely for me, I didn't realize how much I was going to connect to him and how much I felt like him. So it gets really kind of emotional and fragile at the end when he's professing his love to Fiona. It's and then to get to do that with my wife, who's getting to play Fiona, is going to be kind of out of this world cool. So, and
little fun fact with the family playing with that, your 15th anniversary of your wedding is actually your final dress rehearsal night.
Yes,
and you've never played opposite your wife.
No, because she is tiny and I am not, and we don't type into roles that would ever play opposite each other. So
Guys and Dolls, unique. You guys could do Adelaide.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if when I age into that. But yeah, it's been really very, very cool. The first rehearsal we had, I couldn't hold it together. I was a mess because we're literally getting to kind of really renew our wedding vows on stage, and that's been really
that's awesome.
Yeah, but it's good.
Well, and we use the word iconic, but Shrek really did a lot for Broadway. It brought in a whole younger audience years ago that are now seeing it as adults and taking their kids.
Yep.
I want to talk about being something part of using the word iconic. Brian, being part of Will and Grace.
Hello.
It did so much for TV history. It also did stuff, and I'm not just talking about LGBT history. I'm talking about the idea of what a sitcom was, how it was filmed, bringing back some of the old school Hollywood where you had a live audience, and you're kind of doing the show for them, but it's still the sitcom.
Yeah.
Did you watch Will and Grace when it first?
Yeah. It was in my house growing up. It was the only gay thing I knew, really.
Well, and I interviewed,
which was a huge deal. Yeah,
I interviewed Leslie Jordan 2 weeks ago, and he said this was the first time that gay people were allowed in their house.
Yeah,
in their living rooms, and it wasn't about it being gay. It was just
because it was funny. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my dad has always had a really he loves multicam sitcoms, and he really cares which ones are funny, and he always had Will and Grace on. Out in the list of shows that he watched, so I got to watch it, and it was incredible. Yeah.
Well, and that whole setup is very I Love Lucy. Where you feel like you're watching it in the audience, but then you feel like you're really in their living room.
Yeah.
And what Lucille Ball did with camera shots and just the energy that is on Will and Grace is very incredible. I Love Lucy, where it's about friendships, and it doesn't have to be about anything anymore.
Yeah.
When you got the call to audition, were you just like, oh, okay? And was the stuff supposed to be like a
It's
regular?
written like that. It's all written like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was written as like a proposal that would then turn into a marriage. I mean, I think the writers are always seeing what's working, and I've been extremely lucky that it's been this whole amazing experience that has worked, deeply well. And it's thanks in to Sean Hayes, basically, who's like a genius and has guided me through the process, and Max Muchnick and David Cohen, who make it, who are brilliant, and Jim Burrows, this director who directs every episode. When I got the call, I wanted it, of course. I wanted it, and then I got it. But what was funny was my agent, when he finally called and said, "Okay, they're giving it to you," he said, "It's funny, Brian, you put these things out into the universe, and it might sound cheesy, but it works." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And then I got off the phone and I was like, "What was he talking about? Like, what did I say something specific?" So then I looked back in my email, and like 5 months before, I'd sent an email saying, "Hey guys, I would really love to recur on the Will and Grace reboot." I had sent an email to my agent saying,
Use the secret.
Open up my email. I'm ready to email.
I get some things I gotta talk about.
Yeah, it really worked. Yeah,
That's amazing.
So it was cool on every level, and then
It's one of the few reboots that's really.
Yeah, it was the first one. Yeah, and it's really
but
worked.
I mean, it really actually works. It's so brilliant.
Thanks,
And it was by accident, wasn't it? They were originally just doing
they were
like
doing it as
a
a Trump-
political thing,
Trump thing,
and
yeah.
then
It went
people
viral.
loved it so much.
Yeah, I'm so glad it happened.
It was announced this last week that it's going to be the last season.
Yeah, which I think is
11
such a
season.
beautiful decision. It's like that quit while you're ahead energy is so wise.
Like the Absolutely Fabulous movie was so fabulous, but it
Yeah.
was a perfect bookend to say this is a great product from start to finish.
Yeah.
What's the mood? Because you guys are currently filming. I think the last episode premieres in December. What's the mood on set?
It's funny because I haven't been back to. I'm going back to set soon, but I haven't been back since the announcement. I think last week. So I don't know. I mean, I assume it's. For me, it's been a very like kind of warm-hearted feeling because the whole experience, like being there anytime is magic. And when you're shooting the show, it's like you're shooting a rock show because the people that are coming to watch this have been obsessed with this show
Obsessed.
for 20
Right.
years, and it's made lives better and it's made the world a better place. So I imagine it's probably that same magical feeling that the Will and Grace set always has, but with a bit of like an extra oomph because now we know. We've got to leave it all on the dance floor.
So to speak. And I want to talk a little bit about your acting style with this. As we talked, it's very sitcom, which is very different from your YouTube material out there, from your independent films. It's a whole different way of acting because you're like, but you're like here.
Yeah, it's a lot like live theater. Yeah, but with a lot of stopping and
You
starting.
have a microphone here, and I think
You don't have a microwave. Yeah, a microphone. Yeah.
But you could shout too much, but you're trying to be.
Yeah, you're talking about that time. Yeah. In the first episode, I'm a little. I thought you really had to project to the audience
crowd,
that's over there, but it turns out your mic. I mean, there's
they hear
mics
it.
all around you, so you can talk at a normal volume. So in the first episode, I'm a little bit screamy, but I think it works for Stefan.
It definitely works for stuff on. So how did your acting style change? Like from the very first like run-throughs, and you're like, oh, I have to change this what I usually do.
Well, there's more to do technically than you would think. Just even clearing for cameras in very specific locations, and I had to learn with the help of Sean and Max in large part. I had to learn to get out of my own. Like I would have somebody blocking me, and they'd be like, "We can't see your camera's there. Like just move so that the camera can see you." And what else? I mean, yeah, there's a rhythm to it, but a lot of it it feels like I something in my bones knows how to do this, and that's why it's worked so well. But Sean has also just helped me anytime I'm not getting a joke or will set me up or just in really beautiful ways. He's just been such a guiding force.
And I've heard again from Leslie that Jim Burrows is just amazing. He told Leslie,
very effortless.
but he's very honest, and he told Leslie, "You're funnier when you're not trying to be funny." Like,
oh really?
he's gotten that note over and over. He's like, "God damn, I have to remember that." I want to take a little peek at a moment from Will and Grace. This new character. It was like, because it was dangerous.
You want all the classics.
That's
sure,
right.
Sure.
And when we got to see the classics,
and you got a lot of them. Yeah, Bobby Cannavale came back.
But I have to say, you
cool.
were such a great addition, and it seemed so seamless.
Thank you so
and I'm really
much.
glad that the character kind of took off.
Yeah,
I love where they
all the
went with
writing.
like the whole season 2. They went more back into the characters versus like, okay, we don't need to be current with stuff. Let's just
Right.
go back and just be about the core characters.
Yeah, the
and about
relationships.
what they're doing. Yeah.
It's great writing.
Like
they have an
normal
amazing
people
writers'
leading
room.
normal lives.
Yes.
Without without their children. That
Yeah.
was so funny.
Thank God. Yeah, that was great. I'm so glad. I was like, I can't wait for them to get around this. And I was like, yes, exactly. No one wants to see them have kids.
Right.
Yeah.
But it works for some people because then you can cast them in your shows. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
Lily Grace,
There
I
you
mean,
go.
obviously.
No, yeah, right,
They already, Shrek
obviously.
already had children. In
That's
the
right.
movies.
Yeah.
But I want to talk a little bit about TV acting, Jason. Of course, you're fans to this very day. You were part of 2 huge soap operas, of course, Days of Our Lives and General Hospital. You came into the soap opera world at such a young age, pretty much right after high school. You were in the magazine covers. You were in all the Teen Idol covers. You were the hunk. And the soap opera world can exist as kind of a bubble. How did you handle that so fresh on the scene?
I probably not well. I mean, I was like, really overwhelmed for the first 6 months. I didn't do anything because there's so much dialogue that you have to memorize every single day, and I'm not good with memorization.
Really?
I'm pretty poor at that aspect of the job.
You have to move so fast.
I was extremely over. It's not so different than sitcom. I've never done sitcom. I always wanted to, but the setup is similar because we're 4 cameras.
Right. But you have a lot more lines.
A lot more lines.
Does it like even read
No
it to you in
lines.
your ear sometimes when it's like last second?
No, that's
Not at all?
from that's just
That's a
Dustin
myth.
Hoffman.
Just want to know. Just want to know.
Or Al Pacino.
Wait, did they do that in Soap Talk too? I can't remember.
I
Well,
thought
no,
it
in
was
real life, they did it with Al Pacino on Broadway.
Oh, well, we're not supposed to talk about that.
Oh, and Faye Dunaway, who just got fired. Boom.
They didn't do like a musical of just Faye Dunaway getting fired from gigs.
That's a show.
slapping people.
Yeah, it was called Sunset Boulevard Previews.
It's pretty good. That's pretty. Yeah. So I don't know. It was for the first 6 months of that job. I was 19. You're absolutely right, and your research is dead on. I was 19 when I got my first script on my birthday. I'll never forget it. And I had a report to work in like 5 days, and I thought I was like, okay, 5 days to memorize the script. But then the script comes the next day and the next day, and by the time you start, you have like 4 scripts.
Oh, whoa.
And
Oh my God, that sounds crazy.
it's totally.
There's no like rehearsal either. It's not like let's rehearse and feel what the characters feel.
Oh no! Sometimes it's let's shoot rehearsal because we have 110 pages to do today.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like
And it's kind of like, that's good enough. Moving on.
yeah, pretty much like was it English? It was English, right?
Yeah.
Was it? we got
Your
it.
face moved a little bit, right?
So, just looking at the camera at the end of the shot, and we'll move on. But it's a lot. It's a lot like theater in that sense
Yeah.
too. I mean, like it's
You
fun
have to
because
consider it live almost, probably.
yeah, like there's a little bit of improv that goes into it. I mean, not too much because then you throw off. I mean, it's a big operation that's running. It's a big machine. It's almost like shooting the news.
Aren't there like several directors per setup, per scene or setup or something? Or
Well,
like
there's-
one per thing?
Per second.
Yeah, really.
They're just like, this is a rotating door.
Like usually, what the way they work it, and I know it pisses the DGA off a lot, but there's a director a day, but each director is handling multiple scenes from different episodes.
I
So
see.
a lot of the episodes are like
So like a credit, it's like an 80 directors.
collaborative. Yeah. I mean, there was
see.
back when I was doing it, there was 4 directors a week usually, and so somebody was doing
wow.
2 shows a week, if you can imagine that, and
Nope.
it is totally
Wait,
crazy.
what do
to
you
be-
mean 2 shows? Who's doing 2 shows?
Like one director would do like a show on Monday,
Uh-huh.
and then he would be back or she would be back on Friday
Oh,
to
okay.
do another 100
Another one.
pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's
You're
so
shooting
weird.
100 pages a day?
or more.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Well, and
That's
soap opera
incredible.
language. I used to
Yeah.
work
I
at
admire that.
AfterBuzz, and I would recap Young and the Restless,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't even imagine the script or even memorizing because a lot of it is recap because they assume people can't watch every day,
Sure.
Right.
and so they have to recap. Here's what happened yesterday, and so the dialogue is
The dialogue
reminiscent.
is say what you're gonna do, say what you're doing, and then say what you've done.
yes,
Right.
Yeah, and
right.
sometimes in the same scene.
Wow.
and look sexy while doing it, not have your hair move.
Only some. I wasn't one of them.
But since you were so in it and working hard, were you able to enjoy any of the rock stardom that came with that, with the girls like throwing themselves at you? The magazines were all talking about you. People were wanting your spoilers. Like,
Well, I was, and I still am a bit of a nerd, so I was not really into that aspect of it. I also kind of fell into it. I didn't think that this was the career path that I was going to be going on. So while all that was great, the part that I was most grateful for was the travel, because with soaps they do send you out on PAs every weekend, and it's good money, like a personal appearance. I said that without even thinking about it.
I love that.
Stupid. But yeah, so we would go to conventions, casinos,
Comic-Con type things.
Comic-Con things, but before
and the women
cons.
get crazy, whether they're married, whether they're attractive, whether they're not attractive, they go crazy.
They sometimes, sometimes they do. It does get. Like,
do they have a soap con? I feel like they should have.
I'm sure they do.
I think they do.
I don't know.
Right?
Someone's working on it probably.
Now they are.
There's a con for everything.
Should trademark that tonight.
But I do have to say this about the soap opera world. They do like a lot of charity events. So they'll do like softball games or like meet and greets, and it's for charity.
Yeah, a lot of it was that. Yeah, but
cool.
for me, like selfishly, it was just really cool to be like traveling to. I mean, I got to go to almost every province in Canada, and got to go to
Nice.
So that like that part of it was neat. It got tired after a while. I mean, because doing 2 states on the weekend, then coming back, and I was really fortunate to luck into a part that worked a lot on the show. So I was doing like 200 episodes a year, which is crazy.
Wow,
but you eventually just don't even see your family at all. So
there's no time to pay attention to fans, because your family. If you don't have time to see your family, it's like, what are fans? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's part of the job, whereas family is not written into your contract.
That's true.
What's cool about the format too, what people kind of overlook, because it does get shit on a lot. Can I say that? I don't even know.
You just did.
$10.
Put it in a swear jar.
I like that. But the neat thing about that format that doesn't exist with any other format, because it just by the sheer massive amount of content that is produced, is that the fans do feel like you are an extension of their family.
Yeah, wow.
Not that I've had the experience of being on a sitcom, in theater you open, you close, it's
but you're daily. It's a daily thing for them.
Yeah, it's a daily thing. You're in their living room, so like a lot of the fans, like some of them are crazy, sure, but some of them are also just like perfectly normal people that are extremely loyal and just feel like they do know you because
my wife is a huge General Hospital fan.
Sure.
But she's crazy, but she's not like crazy.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's a huge fan of the show.
But they become of your life. Just like when you watch a Will and Grace or like a 6 Feet Under, which is one of my favorite shows ever made on TV, like you feel this kind of chemistry, and so
Yeah.
You feel connection to the characters.
Yeah. So it's a unique format. People since I started in '99. I mean, I'm not doing it anymore. But when I started, they were saying, "Oh, this is the end of soap operas." Ever since they'll
never end.
OJ thing.
No.
I think
they say the same thing about multicams.
Always be the
They'll
niche.
never- I don't
Yeah,
think they'll
and
ever end.
sitcoms are going nowhere because it's like it's its
Big Bang
own
Theory is the biggest show on the
special-
planet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's there's only a certain amount of energy that can be produced in a sitcom that you can't do in any other kind of format. And
Right.
when it's done well, like Will and Grace,
Yeah.
Big Bang, and I mean, how many others can you name? I mean, my fiance right now, we're watching The Golden Girls.
Oh, it's the
Oh,
best.
I mean,
welcome to my world.
Mark Cherry, the writing on
He
that
writes
show.
such great characters.
Oh,
but this
man.
is a testament to how entertainment brings people together. Like, where else would you have watched Golden Girls? But now you're watching it with your fiance.
Oh, we
and
love
it's a
it.
whole.
Our
but
kids are watching
everything-
it right now.
really, that's awesome. I remember
They
watching
love
it as a
it.
kid, and I'm
Yes.
like, oh my god,
Me
this
too.
is like,
It's
I
so
love
smart.
so good.
But
Estelle
Hollywood,
Getty, kidding me?
Oh,
you know,
man.
everything's kind of like a throwback. Now they're talking about
Yes.
scripted podcast. That's
What?
a 1920s radio show.
Right.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
It's all comes full circle.
Yeah,
You know?
and like Will and
Nothing
Grace,
new under the sun.
we wanted the reboot because we're missing that kind of smart humor, those kind of
Yeah.
characters that
We
they're
need it
just
right
pumping
now.
out
Yeah.
so much. So we're gonna do a little blast from the past, just real fast
Uh-oh.
for your fans. Kurt, can we play a little bit of Mr. Jason Cooke? Of course, they had you shirtless, even if it wasn't. It was like he's at the post office. Let's have him shirtless, right? Yeah. So let's play a little bit.
You're camping.
They're on an island, Brian.
Oh my god.
Oh.
They're
She's
glamping.
shivering.
They're glamming.
It's because you're naked, girl.
What about you?
She's still on.
Oh, I love her. She's on Xenon.
She was, she was. I think she's still working on General Hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kirsten Storm. Yeah, she's.
Oh yeah, she's great. I loved her from my childhood. She's so good.
I love the music.
Glad you picked a scene with a lot of dialogue.
Well, no, because
All
this
about
is
the shirt,
funny.
yeah.
This is the scenes that I looked forward to just because there was no dialogue.
You can shoot
Nothing
a
of
no
Alvarez.
problem.
Let's just keep doing it. Can I be the quiet brooding one?
P.S. That scene went on and on. There's 4 parts of that scene. It got pretty
Steamy?
Yeah, it did.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Daytime TV.
But I want to talk now that we've enjoyed and respected that part of your career. Leaving was a really big choice because soap opera money is good money. Regular work is
When
smart.
did you leave?
I left Days in 2006, and then I did General Hospital for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
And so that was 2012.
But there was a block of time. You left to film your first documentary called Numb to Life
Yeah.
that dealt with the pharmaceutical world.
Yeah.
That had to have been, your agent probably jumped off a roof.
It was not a popular decision, though.
What was the biggest inspiration to be like, okay, this is what I want to do now?
Well, it was a forcing factor of just wanting to work. Like what you were saying before about like you just want to do everything you possibly can. I was 26 at the time. I had done a short while I was on the show on Days, and I had sold a script, and so I was leaving the show to go direct my first feature, and of course that fell through because 95% of the time that's
Welcome
what
to
happens,
Hollywood,
or maybe it's even higher percentage than that. Of course, I didn't think that was going to happen to me. So the only way I was able to turn it around was one of the investors on that project was really interested in pharmaceutical drug abuse. And to be honest, I knew nothing about it. It was like a far-fledged concept that I had maybe seen some headlines, I'd read some things about, and I did some research for a week, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's go all around the world because I learned a bunch of stuff. Like the biggest opium production in the entire world actually comes from Australia. It's in Tasmania, and it's pharmaceutical grade, and it's way stronger than anything that comes out of the Middle East. And I was like, wow, I wonder if I could get in there. And so that became like detective work, and that kind of stuff is super exciting for me. I mean, and like the other part of it was like I was able to like, I love reading. I read a ton, and I was reading nonfiction on these topics, and then like trying to get in touch with the authors, and more often than not, I could break through. And then I was interviewing these authors, and I was just like, it kind of felt like I had like this special badge in a way. Yeah. Except the problem was that to sell that documentary was extremely controversial because all the studios were owned by larger networks, which 40% of their advertising budget was being supported by pharmaceutical companies.
And their executives are using most of them too.
Yeah,
right. So like today's day and age is a different time. Like I probably should
have bought it like right away.
Yeah, I probably should like get back and redo it because it's as prevalent of an issue then as it is now. And it's really funny, like the beginning, I uploaded the beginning of that movie. We shot a fake commercial, like 1890s, like commercial, whatever, that would play before silent movies about Mrs. Winslow's soothing talk syrup. And I guess it just got mentioned on a podcast or something like that. And all of a sudden, like it got like a couple thousand views.
Oh,
And the only reason I uploaded this thing is because I put my dad in that part of the movie. It was just like, we shot a fake black and white thing. Mrs. Winslow's soothing cough syrup was opium for babies. That's a real product.
But that's how
that was a real
advertisements
thing.
back then.
Totally a real deal. So
no,
and somebody went on to Joe Rogan and talked about this commercial that they found, which is totally bullshit. It's not real.
Right.
Like we shot that.
Oh my
That's
god!
so
Orange County.
Fake news. Let's grab it and share it.
I cast a couple people off of Days to like play.
They're calling you for residuals.
Wow.
So, anyways, it's a very prevalent issue. You probably could get at now, but yeah, at the time, I mean, I had a big distributor that was behind it, but they were getting a lot of headwind about, something talking about what 40% of their ad revenue was coming from. Because I mean, I went to like Purdue Pharma, like John Oliver just did an amazing thing on Purdue Pharma, and I went there in 2007, and they threw me out, like people grabbing me, and that's and stuff.
That's exciting.
So it was exciting. It was totally awesome.
Yeah, but people have lost their lives reporting about this.
Wait, so can we watch it somewhere?
I never released it. No,
It's time to re-release.
I got to remake it.
You can just put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And call it, if it's journalism, then nobody can really.
Yeah.
They could sue, but they'd lose.
Right.
I mean, that probably doesn't sound so fun for you.
Let's try.
That's Brian's answer to everything. It's put it on YouTube because hundreds of thousands of people will look at it. And Brian's like, should I film going to Del Taco today? But I'm going to talk to you both. Independent films. You guys have both done such different projects in independent film world. What are independent filmmakers doing right? What are they doing wrong?
Oh, I don't know.
Go ahead and take
I
that
mean,
one?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I'm still learning. I don't have any advice from this part of the mountain that I'm on. You just got to do it. I don't
Still
know.
climbing.
You got to do it and learn by doing.
Yeah, I actually think it does boil down to maybe that simple. It's just like the will to do it and the will to complete it.
Yeah,
that
finishing
makes-
things is big. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing. Yeah,
Like the documentary I didn't finish. Like I didn't get it distributed. And that's my own bad. I didn't find that way. I mean, there probably was a path I could have done, but eventually the next thing came along. So, and I think that's probably a big part is like, it's really fun to get inspired. It's really fun to start writing it.
It's
do
a lot
do
less fun
table
to
read.
finish something. Yeah, drag yourself over the finish line.
Yeah,
It's hard
I mean,
sometimes.
the shit that you encounter in post that you have to come up with creative solutions for. That's not why you get into it.
Right. Yeah.
You do that in spite of that.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. you gotta figure out a way to enjoy it and to get past it. I think there is a practicality to it. Like to me, when I think you guys were talking about, Brett, you mentioned this, I think, right? I forget who mentioned this. Like the actors who come to Hollywood for pilot season.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
too, yeah.
I mean, that's like saying I'm gonna.
Maybe some of them book a pilot and then it
Yeah,
takes
maybe it
off,
does happen, but like
It's like you only see movies on Friday nights on
Yeah.
opening weekend at that
Yeah.
exact time
Yeah.
only.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Tiny
it's a
window.
crazy.
microphone.
I just can't. I'm just gonna hold it like this.
It's a crazy way to think about it. It's a
Thanks.
really dreamy way to think. It should be no different than like, hey, I'm gonna, work out for a couple weeks and go to the NFL Combine and see if I get picked up by a team. Like,
yeah.
it's
Or
really
it's like I'm gonna play the lottery once.
I'm like, I'm going to go on a diet for a week and go on Vicaya Cruise.
This is just the rest of the show analogies of this.
But I think that really is like the fantasy of it is sold a lot, and maybe it's sold in movies and elsewhere all the time. But I
Right.
think that like if you're, I don't know. I mean, I also grew up in a part of the business that was pretty. My dad always called it like blue collar TV. Because you work the most, get paid the least.
Oh,
and,
sure,
sure. But I'm really proud of it because it is a workman type mentality, and I think
Yeah.
you just gotta be persistent and not quit because
Yeah.
like making a movie. I mean, I don't want to be like too negative about it, but like there are a lot of highs
The
in
show,
it.
like we share honest conversations about, because we have a lot of entertainment people that listen
Yeah.
and watch, and they need to hear these stories.
Well, then they already know though. I mean, like most of making a movie is like really like just tough sledding. It really is.
Finding the finance, number one.
Yeah.
That's the tough part.
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah. That's step number one usually.
Yeah, that's one of the tough parts. Yeah, comes before all the other tough parts.
All right, so I want to talk about The Creatress, which is your latest film. It's sweeping international film festivals. Fran Drescher is in it. Peter Bogdanovich is in
Awesome.
it. And so I know...
Lindy Booth.
And Lindy Booth.
She's the creatress.
The Creatress.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
it deals with a very interesting subject, which is kind of a conversation for us all. It deals with an author who has an amazing first debut novel. Talked about being a literary genius. How do you follow that up?
Yeah.
Literary critics are like, really? Literary genius? Like, follow that up. And it's about this journey. But the film is not just like a 3-act film.
No.
It's kind of like a stream of consciousness. Let's take a look at the trailer, and then let's chat about it.
I'm Erin Bello. I've been in sentence construction for over a decade now.
What about Erin Bello? Well, who gives a shit?
The first question you get when you publish is, what does it feel like to write a book?
Postmodernism is so over. Come on, tricks are for kids. Can you write something truthful, for God's sakes?
I love her so much.
Yeah, me too.
Come from?
How about this?
It's a road trip story. Sibling rivalry drama.
Country bang bang. Oh, no. Try something else. That doesn't send me like that dress. No Nordic fairy tales, no gangster punk. Something else, fast.
It's hard to write when things don't go right. So sometimes you have to dig in.
And so if a book doesn't end but fades out, I don't know, it makes the stuff in the middle more important. Did you guys sleep together the other night?
Why didn't you answer when I called earlier?
Because we were talking.
No.
I love beats like that in any podcast.
Yeah. The story is sometimes a farce.
Hi, is this your dog?
My thoughts, insecurities, inspirations
Oh,
projected
cool.
onto a recognizable genre or structure.
This is why I told them not to take your advance back yet. I knew you'd get struck by something.
Hopefully the truth finds its way.
Print the pages, print the pages.
As Saul Bellow, no relation, once said, only art penetrates reality to rediscover the genuine.
It's not real.
Everyone's so busy constructing universes. I'm dabbling in the multiverse.
It's not how I'd memoir it.
Awesome.
Wow, that looks great.
Yeah,
It's literally sweeping up the film festivals. And we're talking about creating content and how you have your voice heard in terms of theater, when there's theater, when in terms of independent filmmaking, web series. This is what this deals with, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's that success, and it's like how you follow up with that. What about the story do you want the audience to walk away with most?
Well, the energy of when you read a book, it's so personal. And I think that's also why, I mean, I've been asking this question a lot of when talking about the movie. When people see a movie that is based on a book, what does everyone always say?
The book is better.
Right. And so, like, that's a question I've always asked myself. Why is that? And, like, what movie has ever measured up to a book, and why? And you know, I think the answer to that question is that, you know, a book is such a personal experience. You go down the rabbit hole, and it's a really interesting, like, communication mechanism, right? Because if you think about it, if when you're writing something, you're writing it by yourself in a dark room, stormy night, coffee, caffeine, if you're Hemingway, whiskey, you know, and
yay, Hemingway.
And then, like, several years later, you're putting all these thoughts down that are like, it's an 8-hour tirade or longer, and then, like, several years later, somebody picks that up and goes on that journey that you went on, and that's a really weird way to communicate. It's not very normal. And so I started thinking about, you know, how do you transcend that? And of course, I'm working in film, which is, you know, my passion. And I was like, what kind of experience can you provide in a movie that can allow, like, a person who's not going to sit down and write a book to feel that path, to feel that way? And that journey is not, you know, it's I mean, it destroys a lot of people. I mean,
is there any movies that you looked at that did that right, that was able to take, like, a book and turn it into a film, and it was critically acclaimed, that you look at that and you like take notes about, like, okay, what did they do right in this movie that made it, like, do justice to the book?
Like, justice to the, well, I mean, I think the Shining debate is really interesting because, you know,
King, the sequel's coming out.
Yeah, but and this is what I love about the sequel. Dr. Sleep is paying homage to the Stanley Kubrick film.
Right.
But he's also
And Stephen King wasn't happy about that.
King hates it. King hates what Kubrick did.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting.
Right, but he loves what Dr. Sleep is doing because he's mixing that for the fans and the book. Dr. Sleep was an amazing book. The Shining was an amazing book.
Yeah.
And this is what...
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really interesting, like, debate to get into because, like, nobody's right. I mean, maybe King is right because it's his book.
Right.
But, you know, it's always interesting, though, because when you read a book, you imprint on it differently just because you're involved with it for so much longer.
And you're going through something personally different. Like, you could be going through a
Yeah, you're
reading this
envisioning
book.
something
It's a relationship.
different in your
And
head.
if we all read the same book, that's the reason why there's book clubs. We would all get something different out of it. So the
I
concept...
guess that makes sense. I never thought about that.
I thought it was for the wine and tea platter.
Why do we have book clubs?
I was like, oh, just people just wanted to talk about stuff and drink wine.
I mean, there's that.
Sorry, that's just me. Never mind.
So I wanted to make a movie where it's actually like pretty fractal, where I think all of us could go see this movie and walk out to your question and have something different to say about it. But I think what surprises people the most about the movie, what's been, I think, doing well for us at the festivals, is that it's actually written to be funny. I mean, there's a lot of comedy in it. We have so much amazing comedic talent in it.
Yeah. But it's a fresh take on filmmaking. Like
it's not your normal movie. No, and I don't want to when we were going to make it, I said, look, we can't sell it like it's going to be a romantic comedy. And there were a lot of distributors that came to us and they were like, look, let's just like package it into the romantic comedy box and like let's cut the trailer to be like that. But the movie's not that. I don't want to make false promises. It's also not overly like intellectual or anything like that. It's made to be. It is made to be different, and it's made to make you feel like you're what it costs to write a book, what it is to write a book.
Also seems really relatable on a lot of different levels, because I feel like a lot of just normal everyday people have that. I mean, you watch that even in the Broadway community. If someone wins the Tony for Best Musical, and then how do you follow that up? And it doesn't always go.
Because people are judging you. Like you have a really popular web series. What's next? It's just enjoy that. Girl.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think that's always like the question that's being asked with any art form that you're in, like theater. I mean, there's so much of a rich history there, and theater was like way ahead of film, 100 years ago, and it was so advanced 100 years ago, and then where it like evolves from there. Music, it's the same thing, right? Like music, you have all these different genres, from like classical music to jazz, and then from jazz you go into rock, and then from rock you go into, and then so it keeps like people are trying to find that new path. And so if you're a writer and books have been written for, before there was a printing press, like how do you find a new way to tell a story from like Gilgamesh to today, and like is that important even? I mean, that's also a question I think a lot of creators ask. Is it necessary to make something
fix what's not broken?
Right, exactly. Like, is that necessary?
Well, and now there's such a speed up because of social media. It's like, what's a trend now? Musical theater, we used to do a beautiful, a proscenium musical with great songs for sopranos and whatever. In film, we used to know what we used to like. Now we don't know what we like,
because trends are so quick.
Well, that's what I mean. By the time you figure it out,
trends used to be like they used to last ages, because by the time the general public got onto the trend, by the time it got all the way through, it was like years later. But now the trends are so
you can't
quick.
Keep up.
And film distributors, they're like, okay, what's going to be the next? Big fat Greek wedding. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
no, but
I like your reference. That's perfect.
I do love that. Because it's for everybody. Everybody saw that film.
Although, did you see the sequel?
She's my friend.
No, I'm asking because I didn't see it.
Stick on that.
Never mind. I'll go ahead.
I think it also speaks to something I was saying earlier, where films are really expensive to make. They're very risky endeavors. So it's if you are the person who's putting up the money, or the studio or whatever, you want to know that you have something that you can bet on if there's a track record. I think today we were able to make this movie because it is more opened up. People are a lot more open-minded. But the film also makes its own argument, like within the context of it. Like it starts out where Lindy and Fran, who play Aaron and Carrie in the movie, are in the car listening to her podcast that she just did. And they're like, basically just giving her a hard time about like, why is somebody going to read a book, And she's like, well, we all read one sentence at a time. And, if you're reading 5 pages a day, you could put down War and Peace in less than a year. And that's less than what people read today. It's just we read 160 characters at a time often.
Right.
So it is that short attention span or whatever that you're talking about. And it is hard, I guess, to stick on one thing. But I don't know. I have a lot of friends that read a lot. I mean, I guess that's.
But it's very interesting because like if we're paying attention to like Instagram for say, like we're scrolling, we like, scroll. We're not actually reading the caption. We're not engaging the way that we should. If we're clicking on YouTube, it's for somebody either sent it to us or something, and we need to be satisfied in the first
Oh,
minutes.
fraction of a second.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
or
I couldn't tell you how many times I posted because like I'll do like a content photo and it'll say like I'll tag the company and then I'll say like in the caption the name of the company, the @ and the hashtag the @ and then like it literally says the company probably 4 or 5 times
And
and I'll still get a comment being like, oh my god, who makes that? And I'm like, you either have to click the photo once for the name to pop up or read the caption.
Right.
But
Wow. I
Start
don't
just putting
actually.
it in the picture.
I'm like, you took the time to write who makes that, and you didn't take the time to read what you're commenting on.
Unreal.
Funny, yeah, people hate
that's
it.
what happens.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's awful.
You guys, The Creatress, 29 locations in 15 days.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we heard some of the drama with the location. Fran Drescher, so I know she's very selective about what she does now. And you got her for this film.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's
Tell me what that
that's
conversation
true.
was like.
It was incredible.
Did you write it too?
Yeah.
Sorry, you did.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was actually incredibly simple to get her in the film. I mean, it was. We put the script out there to a couple of different agencies just to get agents to look at it, just to get put the breakdown out and just see who would
Was pitched,
be
yeah.
interested in doing something like this because it was unconventional. It really is. I don't want to stress that too much because then it starts to be like this weird modern.
It's okay.
But it is different.
If it is
different.
yeah.
But there was a lot of dialogue in there that was like it was tricky. So I wanted some musicians per se, like some actors who were really going to get into like getting into the pocket of the rhythm of this thing. And I guess that's what caught her because like she actually had a lot of similar things to say that Peter did when he responded to the material too. And we didn't think we were going to get anybody like, I mean, she's a legend in her own right. I mean, she has an illustrious career. So when I found out that she was interested,
And she
I
knows
was like,
scripts. She knows timing very well.
and she came to play, man. She really wanted to do that, and she was working with Lindy, who it could more than hold her own. I mean, she is just an outstanding actress, really, really strong, and was so excited to work with Fran. I think any of us in this room would be excited to work with Fran, and so the conversation was really short. It was just like she wants to do it, and they got the terms done in I think it was a day.
That's
I mean, it really was like
She wanted a good schmear and a good script. That's what she wanted.
I mean, we actually made the deal so quick that SAG was like suspicious
Yeah.
about it. Like
Wow.
they actually were. Like we didn't even do like escrow or anything with her. It was just like a very easy. It was like almost like hiring a friend.
Wow.
And I didn't know.
She
her,
also
so
understands
it was
how independent films work too. It's like
she was extremely gracious
Yeah.
with us because I mean we were like a traveling circus in LA. You're right. We did 29 locations in 15 days. So we were just
crazy.
like we were like pop out, shoot, get back in, move to the next thing.
Where was it on California?
It was
LA.
all in LA.
LA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did all LA. So we were like a 5-truck traveling circus for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's
that's
totally
the plight
nuts.
of independent filmmaking. It's like crazy.
That's what I call you, a traveling circus.
I won't tell you what attraction I am, but I'm very popular. But Brian, I want to take a peek at your independent film, Everything is Free, because this has a very different energy from what I've seen from the trailer, from the rest of your content on YouTube. So let's take a look at Everything is
And you let me. We like spiraled up together.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thanks.
I like that music, man.
Yeah.
Thanks,
awesome.
man.
That's his.
Oh, you composed that?
Yeah, you know what an arpeggiator is? It's something where you play notes and then it dances
Yeah,
around
sure.
the notes. It's like that. It's like a synth arpeggiator.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I dated
Wait, so you
somebody
did the
who was
music too?
arpeggiator.
You made the movie and you did. Wow, that's crazy.
That's
That's
awesome. Yeah.
This seems to have a certain amount of weight to it.
Yeah, it's a drama. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And we're used to seeing you in comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. So like me in both. You have to.
The story.
Arpeggiated.
Yeah.
Arpeggiated drama. Yeah.
The story deals with sexuality, fluidity, love, traveling, everything.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of your pieces deal with sexual fluidity,
Sure.
where there's no strictures, but you do it in such a way that it's not hitting us over the head.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I'm on the tribe. It's like I'm part of the LGBT community. I'm not wildly political. Your pieces have a very unique energy in that they tell that story without having to make a statement.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. Well, because it's from an insider perspective. So then there. I mean, even in comedy, especially, there are jokes you can make as a gay man that you wouldn't be able to make as a straight person, and vice versa, or maybe not. I don't know. But when it's clear that you're watching queer content made by someone queer, then there's
authenticity a little bit.
Yeah. There's it's just a different energy. Yeah.
But it's so funny because when my friends saw your first episode of Will and Grace, everybody looked, is he gay in real life? Like, why do we care?
It's interesting.
You're never
yeah,
gonna
it's a
sleep
whole
with
thing
him
right now.
whether or not like
Right.
he is.
Oh.
So like
Well,
People are obsessed with
It's an obsession. Yeah. Well, I think it's
of what someone else's life is or isn't.
I think it just makes it more of like something to admire over if they know that it's a possibility in
but
a
it's
sense.
not a possibility.
But it's never a possibility. But look at it this way: look at actors and actresses that are in relationships versus when they're single. Like their agents always say, like it's probably better to like appear single because then there's that possibility of achieving them.
Were you told that as a soap opera star is don't affix yourself with anybody because your fans would be like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah,
They
you're not
would
supposed to be in
tell-
relationships
they'll tell
if
you
you're
that.
in the spotlight because that makes you more desirable and
To
that
be
makes
single.
to be single. Yeah,
It reminds
is
me.
wild.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of always wanted to know about artists.
The only person that's not that doesn't do
Right.
that. The only say.
Right. But even like Van Gogh, like you don't
don't
just
ask me to talk about.
Oh God, we're not gonna talk about. We'll talk
you
about
don't
it
just
later.
look at like Van Gogh's paint. Like you want to know about his life. You're interested that he cut off his ear, and it's like we want to know about the lives of artists. I think.
So let's talk about the issues you bring up with your web series. Do you ever get tired of talking about, oh, I'm gay in real life, oh, I'm promoting gender fluidity? Freckles is one of my favorite characters
So amazing
ever
yeah.
in my entire
so
life.
special.
But as an actor, are you like, let's put away those themes and I'm an actor, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a writer?
No, I don't get tired of it because I am gay, and I just am gay all the time.
Yeah,
really,
but like,
no,
he's
I'm not
straight
any
all
more
the time.
tired
He's
of
straight
it.
all the time.
Right.
But nobody asks, hey, you've been straight today. How was that? Or when you came
But
out
it's
as
because
straight.
it's a
People
different
don't ask me that
experience
much.
though.
Yeah.
It's a different experience though.
People don't ask me that much about being gay. They more ask me about the work. Like in this interview thus far, we've talked about my work mostly, So yeah, I don't know, and I'm happy to do. It wasn't easy being gay in middle school or elementary school, and if I can console any of those kids by being like, it's great, it's okay, like here we are,
You'll come out on the other end.
then great, because it's not a nothing thing, It's definitely something.
It's about representation, right? Like, I mean, I saw a post the other day where a parent was just saying about like their daughter was at a pool and she said, "That kid's really weird. I want to." The kid's like spinning around. I want to go play with him. And the grandmother was like, "Oh, well, be careful." And the girl was like, "Oh, no. It's just like I watched Sesame Street. Like I know, blah blah." And the point was that Sesame Street now has like a mute autistic Muppet.
Oh, nice!
Oh, awesome!
Great.
And so because of that,
huge,
the little girl like understood that, and she already
awesome.
knew how to play with
Right.
the kid. So that's like representation matters.
Yeah, it does. I mean, especially being a beneficiary of it, because I do remember the very subtle feeling of, oh, Will and Grace are on TV, so all these people around me can't hate gay people that much, right?
Now,
because those people are allowed to be on TV, so I'm allowed to exist too.
Now you watched it with your family. Did you feel this nerves? I used to.
It's like it's me.
When I used to watch films like with my mom and grandma, and it was like there was like a boob or something. I was like, ah! Did you ever feel that with like Will and
No,
Grace?
I think
Like,
maybe because we're Latin, we're like, it's like, I don't know.
oh,
yeah.
Latin men will do anything.
No, I just mean
Whoa.
like, there's not, it's not, I don't know, there's a looser, like, oh, whatever's on the TV. I don't
Really?
know. And they start drinking earlier, and it's like a more relaxed environment.
Did you ever feel like in Hollywood, then as an out actor, like there's always that stigma of like once you, because there's so many actors in Hollywood that aren't,
right?
They're told not to be, or whatever.
Yeah.
So did you ever feel like that's limited you at all, or do you feel that in
I don't think so. I feel like it's
not?
opened up the world to me. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I feel like it's. What is it? I hate that way it says like limited because like I mean I would say like
No,
the
and I
last
hear you.
the last 10 years. I mean
Well,
it has changed a lot.
Exactly.
I mean when I first started to like get into the industry and modeling and stuff, I was told like that's fine, but just don't tell anybody. And then like over the course of the last 10 years, it's shifted in this sense where it's
I think
like,
Obama did a lot of that.
yeah,
you see,
and
you see it on.
well, it's helped in the sense where like LGBT community is a little bit unique in the sense where like we're part of every other community because there's gay.
We're
lesbian,
everywhere,
yeah,
baby.
there's gay
Yeah.
lesbian people in every other minority group. So
Yeah.
everyone in the last 10 years literally had to like wake up and be like, okay, listen, my son's gay, my daughter's lesbian, my transgender child, like all that stuff.
Yes.
So
You
that's
see
why
it on the
absolutely.
consumer side. I just didn't know if like the inner part of Hollywood it was that way or not.
Well,
Because
I've
that's the part I'm not. You see it again like on the consumer side, all of the programming and everything that's all thankfully way more inclusive and starting to celebrate all these types of things. But yeah, it was more like about like the inner. Is it now feel changed finally?
I think
or
there are
changing?
still people who are in the closet for work, but I was just never in a position in which that even would have been an option. So so all I've ever really experienced is just
who you are,
getting lots of
your own path.
and getting lots of parts and getting straight parts and gay parts. So then I've never been
awesome.
I've never been kind of scared around it. But I'm also very lucky. I've just been
because you've always
and I've had
been-
amazing like my agents at CAA like send me out for just
everything
all
Your
the
fans love
time.
you.
They're so open. Yeah.
So I don't know this as like
great.
a straight white filmmaker. Do you feel this pressure now? No, I'm talking to you, girl.
I'm not a filmmaker.
And this is a very honest conversation. Do you feel this pressure now? It's like something I never had to deal with. Now I have to deal with this for like my next film
Deal with what?
or with this wave of diversity, like you have to
Inclusivity?
be diverse. Because I'm with the team. Like, don't force me to be diverse if it doesn't fit my theme or anything.
I'm not understanding your question totally. Like, do I feel like
Do you have this
pressure to
that
do
you
it?
just have to make the checkbox? Because we
No.
see
Do you write your
projects-
stories based on like having to do?
No, and I'll tell you why. Maybe I watched enough Sesame Street when I was a kid. I just thought that
Amen.
that's just the way it should be.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I mean, really, I was really fortunate growing up because the way that my parents raised me, I really believe in because I understand this being a big issue to talk about, but I'm kind of looking forward to, I don't know, maybe 10 years from now when it's actually just a really boring thing to bring up that like, oh, who's out, who's not, let's everyone put their statistics in the pot of who's what, like, I mean, I really would just want to, like, who gives a shit? Like, I'm just like...
And now there's 800 different sexualities and gender identities, and I mean, like, there's so many, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, who cares?
Yeah,
It
so
shouldn't matter.
That's where I want to be at.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that it needs to be talked about and it needs to get out there and the pendulum needs to swing. But I'm looking forward to when it's in the middle because
Like you're saying, the pendulum. We're on that side of it right now, and then 10 years in it, we'll be on the other side.
Yeah, and eventually it'll find the
It'll
middle.
be in the middle.
Eventually it'll get there. I mean, like, I know there's a lot of shit going on with politics right now, and that's not a fun conversation except for Stephen Colbert. But like, it's just like I remember when I did theater in high school and I was senior, which you somehow knew the name of the play that I did in high school. Hilarious.
Who done it?
Yeah, who does? That's true.
Who actually done it, by the way? It was the gay butler. He was like, swish, swish.
How do you find those kind of things? You just like literally just call their
You don't
families.
even know, girl.
Yeah, you are good.
I love entertainment so much. I will find out.
But no, there was a kid in drama who was gay, and like I don't know. I mean, I think
A kid.
I was like, one?
well, maybe there was more than one.
You lost me there.
You knew of one.
I said you were the kid that was straight in drama. That's what you're talking about.
You were the girl's house because you played piano too.
I did play piano. Yeah, my whole life. Yeah.
Yes, he played piano for weddings.
Wow.
What? That's awesome.
That's cool.
All of the bridesmaids were like, "Hey, girl."
Humble beginnings.
I was like 10, and I was
They
doing
were
it.
stoned.
My sister got me the job. She's actually out in the lobby watching the show right now.
She's fabulous, by the way.
Yeah, she's great.
Very nice.
Yeah. She flew out just for the premiere tomorrow, which was really nice of her. But yeah, like I just remember in drama there was this one kid who was gay, and to most of the kids in drama, maybe because most of them were gay, I just didn't know. I don't know. I don't think that was the case, but like it never like even occurred to me, and I remember when I was working in the business and I met a casting director that like we became like friendly, like let's just go out and get a drink, and like he told me at drinks, he's like, by the way, like I'm gay, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then we got back to what we were talking about, and like he actually was like, wait, hold on, I just told you something, and I was like, oh, am I supposed? Sorry, it's just okay, cool. Great.
Moving on.
And anyway,
right.
Like and that was just like the way I was raised, where it's just like it's unimportant. Actually, the only thing I was curious about is like he was telling me how he was using this new app to find guys. And
what app was that?
But I wonder.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like my intrigue with it was I hadn't even seen any dating apps at that point. This is
this was like years ago.
So like the first time I ever saw a dating app was
a gay one.
We
would be on the forefront.
My buddy,
It's definitely not a dating app too.
Yeah, dates.
Yeah.
Am I what?
Are you on a dating app?
Sure, I'm on dating apps.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we can all recognize your body at this point.
Dating apps are great.
But I love that energy from an ally. It's like, who cares?
It's great.
Yeah.
Let's make films. Let's make
we
good
appreciate
projects.
it.
All right, who cares if your sexuality? Are you a good person or are you a bad person?
Yeah.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
Yeah.
Well, that's a different story. That's a different story.
We have to get to last moments, but real fast. TJ, I got this question. Working with your wife.
Yeah.
You've had to direct your wife.
Yeah.
And now you guys are in rehearsal
Yeah.
all the days of the week.
Yeah.
How are you able to do that?
You know,
because I can't stand my family.
I'm very, very, very blessed that I got to marry my best friend, and we spent a lot of years like figuring out who we were and what we wanted and what direction in life we wanted to go, and we were apart, we were together, we were apart and together, and so life just kept leading back to each other. It was more about she and I, and so we actually thrive in that environment. It's harder for us when my work days take, if she's stuck at home with 3 kids and she's like this, but it's better like when we're together, so much easier.
Nice.
And she's an amazing performer, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You guys, I have like pages and pages of notes and social security numbers.
Thank you.
We have to finish the show. We end the show with rapid fire, and then you're going to tell our viewers and listeners where they can find you on all your social medias. Which your social media,
right?
Was that a conscious decision?
Oh, you're off social media?
I never.
Good for you.
it.
Oh, you never even got
Good for
on.
you.
I have an email.
Wow.
But the creatress.
That is cool.
I wouldn't exist.
That to me
without
is
it.
very cool. I tried to get off social media a year ago.
Yeah.
I lasted maybe a month or 2.
That's how I made my entire
And in the
career.
process, I actually, because Instagram's the only one that really lets you delete it, and you can delete it that moment, and I lost all my followers. I had to start again.
And you regret
Can you
every
imagine?
moment of it, don't you?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I
You regret every moment.
Yeah.
But not to confuse, the creatress has social media.
Yeah, the creatress, creatressmovie.com, all the ats on the Instagrams and stuff, all I don't know. I mean, if you just, it's not a common word, so if you just Google the creatress.
Well, we're going to go through that.
You'll
So who
get
wants
enough.
to do rapid fire first?
Great. Oh, rapid fire questions?
Yep.
I'll just do it. Let me just do it.
All right.
Get
Brian
the-
Jordan Alvarez. Hey. This actually is a fan question. Worst date?
Worst date?
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if I've had any bad dates.
Hey,
They've
How's
all
that
been
possible?
good. Yeah. I can't think of my worst date.
He
off the
did
top of
not
my
like that answer.
Keegan probably thinks it's the worst date he's ever
Is that
been on
your,
right now.
Do
Yeah.
you mind if I ask? Is that your...
yeah, this could be considered a date in some cultures.
Is this the best date you've ever had? iHeartRadio.
Keegan is a good
Date.
friend of mine. We're good friends.
Oh, but not a date.
Yeah.
You had, like,
Maybe it's
we've
also
all
a
had
date.
worst dates.
I can't think of my worst date. I mean,
He's so nice.
yeah, I don't know. They've all been sweet. Come on, give me another one.
I have to because your fans are like. They're making a biopic of your life up to this point. Who, besides yourself, is playing you?
It'd be really funny if they had Ed Norton play me, and he was just
I
way
could see
aged
that.
down. They just like did a bunch of CGI to age him down.
But what
I
happened to
love
Ed
Edward
Norton?
Norton. He's a genius.
No, he's amazing, but he looks.
I would like him to play me.
He took care of Courtney Love, and she sapped all of his life.
Oh.
But Ed Norton is actually a really good choice.
I love
Ed Norton's
him.
a really good choice.
I love him.
Biggest pet peeve while dealing with actors on set? For many aspects. As a fellow actor, as a director.
Biggest pet peeve.
I'm so glad I didn't go first.
I don't know. I don't know.
I couldn't answer.
Rapid fire, sweetie. It could be like bad breath, being late.
I mean, of course, everybody hates bad breath. Yeah. No, I don't have pet peeves. I really don't.
No pet
So
no pet
babe.
peeves, no bad days.
How much did
No
you
bad
smoke before
dates.
you came here?
It's a good life. It's a good life.
Baskin Robbins has a new Brian Jordan Alvarez flavor. It's called vanilla.
Oh.
$150 million you're handed right now to make a film. What film is it?
Oh, it'd just be fun to just immediately make the sequel to Everything Is Free. I think that'd be fun with just a much better production value.
Oh, okay.
So then it's one of those movies where the sequel is like way nicer looking than the original, like Terminator 2.
Oh God, that's a.
Would
good
you hire
sequel.
an orchestra to do the music?
Yeah, hire an orchestra. I would just blow it. Yeah.
He'd hire Steven Sondheim. He'd blow like $149 million on Steven Sondheim and then $1 million for the film.
Yeah.
You are writing an episode of Will and Grace about Jack, and Estefan. What's the episode about?
Oh, well, I mean, I just
You can't
love
give away
Jack and
everything.
Estefan, and I don't know. I just want them to have a great life together. I could never write it. I couldn't. Max and David really know what they're doing. But I will tell you that there's
I've never had a
good
night from
stuff
Max and
in
David.
store. There's
Okay.
good stuff in store.
Okay.
So you should watch the real writing because it'll blow your mind.
Brian Jordan Alvarez, where can our viewers and listeners find you?
Instagram, Brian Jordan Alvarez, BrianJordanAlvarez. Twitter is Brian Jor Alvarez. And Facebook is the Brian Jordan Alvarez.
And you guys, go buy Everything Is
Free on Amazon.
But then watch
or
all the
iTunes.
free amazing.
Yeah, go to my youtube.com/Brian Jordan Alvarez. That's the hub. Yeah. And watch Will and Grace on Hulu.
Yeah.
All of it. Yeah.
And this next season. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
TJ Dawson.
Oh man.
You can go back in time and originate any Broadway role, male or female. Which one is it?
Ooh.
Whoa.
Man, I'm gonna go female. I'm gonna say.
I love that.
I'm gonna say Mama Rose and Gypsy,
Nice.
or a trio tie: Mama Rose and Gypsy, The Witch and Into the Woods, or Ursula and the Little Mermaid. 'Cause
Nice.
she's like the best
Oh,
Disney
you'd be
villain,
so good.
and I'd be delicious.
That's my vote. Yeah. Ursula. Yeah.
She has such a good solo.
She is.
So
It's the best.
Wonderful.
So
It's the
good.
best.
Those are amazing choices.
Thank you.
I saw Into the Woods with the Witch, and I was because Bernadette Peters,
Come on.
she was amazing.
Yeah.
Biggest pet peeve about stage actors while you are directing?
Oh man.
Where's
When they're
stage right?
bad.
Where's stage
Yeah.
right?
Man, yeah, exactly.
Which is
That's a sweet thing.
No, that is. I'm like, oh, yeah. No.
You're like, oh, you're fired.
Biggest pet peeve, I would say. I mean, just when people have kind of a "you're welcome" air about them. Do you know what I mean?
You're like
You would have hated me in high
thankful I'm
school.
here.
Yes. And like you can tell, like when someone comes out for a bow and they're like, "You're welcome," and you're like, "Oh God, that's just like."
I'm gonna watch
hurts
every
my
one of your
soul.
bows from here on out. Be like, you're the one. But you do a mix of
now you
equity-
have to. You have to be like the biggest bow.
Yeah.
But 3D does equity and
Mix. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Like, get out of here. No. Oh, that's some
Get out
information
of
for you.
here.
But yeah, no, we do a mix. But we what's nice about actually with us, what's been really amazing is that we will we feel like we actually kind of help start a bunch of people out on the right way. They make their professional debuts, and now one of our actors is now playing Hamilton in Hamilton, and another one playing Hercules in Hamilton. I mean, like people who start out and then they go on to do like these amazing things. So we try to cast it all even keel, and regardless of. I've seen I've seen people come in who are carrying a membership card who should not be allowed to be a part of any performers union in auditions. So I'm
I
just
did
saying.
Camelot, the Guinevere. Funniest on-stage mishap.
Oh.
Girl, it's rapid fire. You took another half hour.
Wait a minute. No.
I'm just teasing. Come on.
No. Oh shoot. Worst mishap. Oh God, I can't think of one.
As stage, we've all had. Mishaps.
I know.
Didn't a boom hit a girl in the face or something?
Yeah.
No.
You know, I was at a production of Cats where a cat slid off into the pit and fell on a musician. That was pretty horrible.
Oh, I thought the trailer for Cats was the most.
I was going to say, like, I know one thing worse than that.
Yeah.
Memory. And the character's like, keep going. Really? That's the.
No, I know that I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to go, damn it, because I know there's one that I can't think.
What audition song, as a director, you've heard one too many times, should be out?
Oh shoot. My casting director Amber is gonna kill me because I'm gonna draw a blank here. It's usually what happens.
Song is like, oh,
what
really?
happens is that I would say rather than the direct answer to that is that you can tell when someone has Googled a song to audition for Shrek, and then like literally every other person is singing that song or like one of those 3 songs. So I would say like avoid doing that because you will hear those 3 songs for that show all day long, and then A, there's too many people to compare it to, and B, you want to shoot yourself. So,
and there's songs that are not in the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're from some
and you
similar
should
show.
be different personality.
Amen.
Okay. You have the opportunity to reboot any Broadway musical at 3D theatricals. Which one is it?
Reboot any Broadway musical. I've been very fortunate to be able to do that. With the ones that I was really passionate about. I would love to see, there was some talk about Our Secret Garden having some kind of potential future, and I would love to see something like that happen. But yeah, Sideshow and Parade, Ragtime, those were ones that were really special.
Okay, but one that hasn't been.
Oh, shit. Oh, God. Oh, sorry. $10! One that hasn't been, reboot. I would say... Oh man, I would love to do. Oh crap! I'm not gonna.
Oh, what
think
a
of it.
circus! Oh, what a show!
Yeah, there's a good one.
Okay,
You know, I would love to. I would love to do
okay.
Gypsy. Gypsy. That would be one.
It's the longest rapid fire I've ever fucking dealt with.
Yeah.
Sorry. We should have all had that vodka that you guys found.
But I wish they would cast a gypsy with a mom that's so angry at Rose's turn because she's angry. This didn't work. And she's like,
That literally like that number. It's $10 more. That's the best. Yeah.
TJ,
Gypsy.
tell people where to go
to see me. Okay, so Instagram is at TJ Dawson 81, which is not the year I was born, but yes, it was the year I was born. And then Facebook is at TJ Dawson 3DT DAWSON. That is it. Ta-da! Or at 3dtheatricals.org is our company website.
And I'm going opening night, by the way.
Yay!
Yeah.
Is there like a cast party?
Oh, there'll be definitely some things going on.
I'm not sure if you want me at a cast
You
party.
gotta go.
Bring all of the vodka. Yeah.
Jason.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What storyline would bring you back to the soap opera world?
Oh.
I don't think there is one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's an answer.
That's an answer.
Strangest fan request we already went through. How about this? The most embarrassing song on your playlist?
Most embarrassing song? Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston.
You can't start.
That's not embarrassing.
You can't start with Whitney
I
Houston.
Will Always Love You. I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Dance with
Somebody. I wanna dance with
Isn't this
somebody.
embarrassing?
I don't know.
So
Not
good.
I mean, I'm not embarrassed to play it, but I thought the question was, would other people be embarrassed for me?
Oh no!
No one ever feel
We're
embarrassed
proud
for
of it.
anyone.
I love that
right?
song.
They're
You'll
singing or
probably
listening
play
to
that
Whitney
at your
Houston.
reception, which I'm not sure what about.
It'd be like maybe Baby Shark. If you listen to Baby Shark, you'll be really pissed. I bet you're listening to that.
Alexa, play Baby Shark. I mean, if there's any R&B fans out there, I have like Paperboy Diddy on my R&B. That's embarrassing.
There you go.
Jason. All right, this is actually really funny. This is from the chat room. Email. You're making a documentary about gay senior citizens working in the circus. So just
I love this concept already.
and now you're watching Golden Girls.
Yeah.
So just think about that. What is the name of the documentary? Because
Oh
you've
my God,
done
this
a lot
is like
of
Balderdash. This is like my favorite
Balderdash.
game.
I love Balderdash.
All right, sorry. Read it to me one more time.
Okay.
It's.
I'm gonna do
I
it
want to make
slow.
sure I got it straight.
You are making a documentary,
Yeah.
unlimited budget, about gay senior citizens working in the circus. What is the name of the documentary?
The Wrinkle Race.
That's good.
I don't know. You said I had to go fast. I mean, give
love
me like
that.
5 more minutes.
He gives you word
I
going
would
the
go
fastest.
watch that.
Yeah.
It's like, have you guys seen The Wrinkle Race? It's about gay senior citizens.
I love it.
There's
We're actually going to clip that. We're actually going to clip that little.
I love the wrinkle race. It's like what's it called? What's it called? The Amazing Race, but just everyone's over 70.
Yeah.
It's like, figure out your social security now, bitch.
Yeah, if they're doing all
That's
these.
the race. Like, say your social security.
Okay, rapid fire. And I'm going to do the same thing. $150 million budget. What
Right.
movie are you making?
Well, you're getting The Rock.
Yeah.
So
he's
that's
become
using
box
$100
office-
million.
Wait
Yeah.
a minute.
Oh,
but
no, how
he's
much would he
poisoned
charge?
lately.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
people
okay.
are
How about
oversaturated.
look? If I was a kid,
he's doing
I know
well.
what my answer would have been at
No,
10
now.
years old.
Now.
Wait, I want
It does
that.
sound like
Wait,
that.
I want to hear what that is.
I know. I did too.
Okay, well, I'll answer it.
Ryan is calling the shots.
All right. Well, I'll do both. How about that? Can I do both?
Yeah.
Because I like this game. This is a fun
he's
game.
bi. Did you hear that?
Yeah, this is a good
That's
game.
not what he's saying.
He's
All
gonna
right.
put you.
When I was 10 years old, $150 million, I would have gotten Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone to agree to make the movie Contra. Based on the video game.
Yeah.
Do you remember
It's
that
the
video
biggest.
game?
It's the greatest blunder of
Yes.
Hollywood in the last 30 years that they never got. I don't know who could have got that done, but they're idiots. What was Joel Silver doing? He's
That
busy
would've been
making
awesome.
too many Predators. But right now,
I love this.
right now, I
Yeah.
absolutely know exactly what movie I'd make at $150 million.
Tell us.
It involves Kevin Costner.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh, and that's always
I'm
good.
out.
The idea is a
If I was
secret.
on the board of directors, I'm out.
Oh,
give it
sorry. Do I
closeness.
still get the money?
Yeah.
I'll prove it to you.
What is it?
Waterworld 2.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
Be
you
a
know
hit.
what? He's actually very smart because people would go see it.
People would go see
Just
it.
a morbid
What happened?
curiosity.
And
100%.
also, that'll just give Universal Studios to just be able to
Continue that show.
remake the show on the like. They've had the same show for the entire. What,
No, they just remade
It was
it.
blowing up on the
No.
way.
They
just
to the
remade
no,
it.
they just remade Jurassic Park.
And they just remade Waterworld.
Did they?
So they're like, it's like a thing. Maybe
But
this is
also,
supposed to
it was a
happen.
ride at Universal. Or like,
A show.
well, it was a show. That's what I'm
That's
talking
what
about.
I'm
I said,
talking
that would be
about.
the
The stunt
opportunity for
show.
him to change the
Stunt
show.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's
That-
not
I would
dumb
watch
idea.
That
I
would be
wanna see it.
that would be
I
even
actually
more
love
money.
I
That's a smart
I
one.
just love that movie. I actually think the movie is
way ahead of its time when
It's
it was made.
it got this weird complexion afterwards. I think that movie's actually pretty.
Because that's what's
Pretty
kind of
darn
a sign of a
genius.
kind of a good movie.
Okay,
right?
okay,
Makes
okay.
people
We
feel
have
that
to
way.
finish.
Oh yeah, rapid fire. Yeah. Sorry.
The Creatress covers writing about your life, about writing about everything.
Yeah.
What would the funniest chapter in your life book be about?
The funniest chapter. The funniest chapter. I mean, God, that. Okay, now you stumped me. Yeah.
You did it.
I don't know.
All of us.
It would be the part about this radio show. This is funny. In a good way.
It would probably be like the behind the scenes of doing those personal appearances I was talking about. I guess
PAs.
Because
I think he
Yes.
got more play than, but his beautiful fiance is here, so
yeah, no, those.
I bet you have a little bit more play.
Well, I'm not talking about the play. I'm talking about like the perception of what I was doing, and the reality of it was much different.
I like that.
Yeah. So anyway,
I love that.
Love you guys. All right. Jason.
Your person wants you to hold that
Yeah.
up, right?
Oh.
You want to hold it up in front of the camera?
well,
Or
I
you
can
Is that one right
I
there?
can read it. I can read it.
Oh.
At the Creatress Movie is the Instagram, and then I mean my company is Digital Cuvée. I have a website. The movie has a website. You're curious about the Creatress, just Google it. And
Nice.
You have your options. There's lots of things to click on.
What a fun night. Like, we all
So
come.
fun. The juice. I'm so fun that I'm tired now. I'm tired at the end of it.
I had questions about, whatever. Emil.
Emil, yeah. You have questions about Emil? No, we got to wrap it up.
We have to go. You guys, I love the show, and I love that we got to talk
This
to
is a
each
lot of
other.
fun.
Me
All
too.
right, you guys. Support everybody that was on the show. Can Emil give us an inappropriate comment about tonight?
It just was an incredible experience to be here.
Yeah, but say something inappropriate.
No, I don't care. I can't wing those.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, everybody. Oh, no, I have to read this. Coming up, we have comedian and actress Margaret Cho, Big Brothers, Corey Brooks, America's Got Talent Michael Paul, iZombies, John Emmett Tracy, 8-time Academy Award nominee makeup artist V. Neal's coming in. She worked on Hunger Games, Beetlejuice, Mrs. Doubtfire, Pirates of the Caribbean, Edward Scissorhands. We also have, this is what I'm most excited about, the keeper of the Star Trek legacy, Rod Roddenberry, is coming in. Wow. This is coming up in the next 2 months, you guys. I'll see you in Vaikaya. Let's give a hand to our cast.
Woo!
Good job.
This has been On the Rocks with Alexander, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Universal Broadcasting Network. Find me on Facebook on the Rocks Radio Show. Tweet me or Instagram me at On the Rocks On Air. See you next Tuesday!